Hello everyone, this is Direwolf20 and welcome to part 2 of my Thaumcraft 3 mod spotlight. Got a bunch of cool things to show you guys today. There's a lot more to Thaumcraft 3 that you haven't yet seen, and that's what this spotlight's all about. I'm going to go into some of the more advanced features, some of the more advanced items, a couple of the nifty mechanics that have been added in Thaumcraft 3, and I'm not going to show you all the cool items and toys that you can play with, but I'll definitely show you a couple, some of my favorites at least, and leave a few of them available for you to find out on your own. So lots more to cover. So let's get started checking out Thaumcraft 3, the more advanced and detailed items. So when we wrapped up part 1 of the Thaumcraft 3 mod spotlight, which if you haven't seen, you better go check it out, you saw how to make a Wand of the Apprentice, place it in your Arcane work table here, and make some basic items using the Arcane work table. Again, it uses some of the magic and vis in the environment, and we made some Arcane stone blocks. And I promised to show you how to use these guys in the next episode. Well, here we are. So one of the first uses for the Arcane stone blocks, and there's probably going to be a few more going forward, but if you open up your Arcane work table, you'll be able to see a couple ways to use these. Not only can you make Arcane stone blocks, but you can make yourself some Arcane wood, which I'll show you more about later. But one of the first things you're going to want to make is called the Infusion Altar. Simply place 4 Arcane stone blocks next to each other and click them in the world. So it'll tell you how to use that in the recipe, but I'm going to show you right now. So you've got your 4 Arcane blocks and right click with your wand. Ta-da! Got ourselves an infusion table. The infusion table is you could probably consider it maybe like the Tech 2 version of a crafting table. You're going to need it for a lot of the more advanced items in Thaumcraft, and I'm going to show you how it works and how to use it right now. One of the first things that you're going to be able to do with your infusion table here, if you're following along through your proper research and checking things out, if we look at the Unified Thaumic Field Theory, it's one of the researches that you get earlier on that allows you to use your Infusion Altar to upgrade your basic Wand of the Apprentice, which can only currently hold about 50 vis. This guy is going to go to the Wand of the Adept, which can hold a little bit more vis and is used for some of the more advanced recipes. So it's a perfect example to show you how to use the Infusion Altar. You can see that looking at this research notes, you can tell it needs the Infusion Altar as opposed to the Arcane work table, the magical building blocks. It'll tell you up right here how to use it and what table to use. For example, Thaumium needs Crucible. So the Infusion Altar has 2 components to it. First off, it's kind of like a table here. So what I'm going to do is get myself another Wand of the Apprentice. So let's just do that real quick. And I'm going to place that in the bottom right slot. So just like the Arcane work table, you need to place a Wand of the Apprentice in the bottom slot. And you can see it kind of just sits there and floats on top of the table when it's been placed in. It's a really neat little effect too. When you take it out, it's gone. So you need to have some kind of wand inside that slot because you're going to be doing magic with this, of course, as well. And you've got a table right here that shows you pretty much like a crafting table. So as we saw in this research, we need to put yellow, blue, red, and green earth shards around this guy. So yellow, blue, green, and red shards all around this guy. Pretty cool. Now once you put the proper recipe in here, it's going to tell you that you need some aspects to go along with this. And you can see it's hovering down here showing you that you need some of the Precantio, the magic or sorcery aspect, to help with this infusion. If we open up our Thaumonomicon, you'll also see that in the bottom slot. So you need 16 Precantio. So you need to combine basically a Crucible and an Arcane work table functionality to use the infusion table. You need to get some aspects using the Crucible, and you need to build the recipe in here just like a normal crafting table, and of course have a wand. So how do we infuse the Precantio, the magic, inside this table? Well, simply have a Crucible nearby. It has to be about, I'm going to say 8 blocks away as a maximum. You can have it right next to it wherever you want, and just drop some items into the Crucible that have that aspect on it. So I'm going to go ahead and just drop some of these vis shards. I need 16 Precantio, so 3 of these ought to do the trick. So 1, 2, 3. And once you place your third one in there, you'll start to see these purple effects start shooting over. The little particle effects here are purple because it's Precantio, which has a purple symbol. It'll be whatever color of the aspect that it is. So once these symbols are shooting over here, you'll know that this crucible has enough items in it to charge up your Infusion Altar. You can also see that this is no longer flashing, it's a solid color saying that the Percantio is being satisfied by the nearby crucible, which is pretty cool. If you have multiple crucibles nearby, they could have different aspects in them, but you have to get all aspects from one source. So you can't put 10 of the Percantio in one table or one crucible and then 6 in another crucible somewhere else. That won't work. All of the aspect number has to come from one crucible. And that'll make a little bit more sense further on. Now that we've got the recipe in here and the Percantio, we can go ahead and click on our Wand of the Adept to pull it out of the table. You'll also note that the Wand of the Apprentice drained. It used a lot of magic to do that. As you can see, it requires 50 vis, which is the maximum that a Wand of the Apprentice can hold. But we've got our Wand of the Adept now that holds 50 vis, and the wand inside this table is slowly recharging out of the local aura. As usual, if you place it on your hotbar, it's going to charge faster. Not a big deal, but pretty cool. And, of course, our aura nodes are recharging each other. So that's how you use your infusion table to craft items. You need to place the recipe in the slots here, and then fulfill the needs of the aspects with a nearby crucible. There's another way to do this as well, but we'll get into that in just a few moments. And that, guys, pretty much covers all the basics of what the Thaumcraft mechanics are in order to build and research and make all kinds of different cool things. Now I'm going to move on in the video to show you some of the cool things that you can make and go into a few more mechanics that are a little bit more in depth. So why don't we get started checking out one of the new items in Thaumcraft that are really neat that you're going to need to use this Infusion Altar to make. These are called Golems. Golems are just super awesome little guys that do all kinds of neat stuff. I'm going to cover on what most of them are and how most of them work. What you're going to be able to do for the most part is figure them out through the Golemancy research right here. You can see there's a bunch of information, and if you read through it, it'll tell you how everything works and what they do. But I'm going to demonstrate a few of the golems and how to make them and what their different aspects are. So one of the most basic golems that you can make are the wooden golems, and I'm going to show you how these are all made going forward. First off, you're going to need some nitor and some brick in your infusion table, and you're going to need some imperio and modus, 8 of each, to get yourself a core. So let's go ahead and put this together right now. You'll see down here we need modus and imperial. One of the ways to get this, and probably not the most efficient, is bronze and air shards will get us both of these symbols. So I'm going to need to throw about 8 bronze and 4 air shards in here to get what I need. So let's get this going. Cool. Lots of extra flux going to be thrown into the environment here by doing this, but you'll see a bunch of nifty little particle effects going on, and I should be able to now get myself a Golem animation core. Awesome. And note that the flux level is now high because that was a pretty inefficient way of doing what I just did. The Golem animation core is used to make all of your golems. There's actually a couple different animation cores that you can upgrade them to, but you've got wooden golems, stone, clay, straw, and tallow. These guys are all have different uses and different mechanics to them. You can also upgrade your cores. You can see here you've got perceptive golems, speedy golems, strong golems, and smart golems, and I'll tell you about what they're all about and the different mechanics for them as well. But let's just go ahead and check out how to make wooden golems. Pretty simple. Just get yourself some great wood logs, as you can see here, and a golem animation core. Great wood logs come from great wood trees, which you'll have to find in the environment. Pretty neat. Now I'm not going to go ahead and continue infusing things. You've seen that enough at this point, so I'm just going to go ahead and use NEI to get myself all the golems I want to check out and play with. Wooden golems are the most basic form of golem that you can get. Most golems are placed in the world by clicking on an inventory or a block that you want them to manage. In this case, I'm going to click on the chest here with my golem and place him in the world. If we open up by right-clicking on him, you'll see that he's just a simple wood golem and much too dumb for anything complicated. He's really nothing fancy. What he will do is when you right-click on a chest is he will fill up items in that chest with anything that drops on the ground. So simply drop an item on the ground and he'll notice it nearby and go pick it up for you, and then place it in the chest. Pretty neat. He's able to collect a bunch of items for you from a decent range. So if we just drop items all over the place here, we'll see that he has a good range that he can go collect items from. Not too bad. You'll also note that he can't carry too many items at once. Look at that. Not bad at all, little guy. Now if I were to collect all these and just drop this whole stack on the ground, we'll see how many he can carry. So you should be able to see that he can pick up 16 items at a time as he comes over here and grabs them. 16 items per motion will go into this chest. And if we do a little bit more of an experiment, we can see what kind of range he has. So you'll note that he can go about as far away as this. So this block is where he picked up from, but he couldn't go this far. So if we check this out, we'll see that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 blocks is his default radius. So he can pick up items as far as 12 blocks away, which is pretty awesome. So that's your basic wooden golem. Nothing too fancy, but he does a good job. Now, if you attack him with a sword or some kind of tool, you're going to kill him, so that's not going to be a good idea. But if you grab yourself a wand, you can use a little bit of magic to turn him back into an item, and you can pick him back up and use him somewhere else. So if you want to pick these golems up, definitely use a wand, because if you just attack him with a sword or a drill, you're going to have a problem. And remember, you have to attach him to an inventory. See, he's taking damage, and he's going to run around and be all afraid. Poor golem. Aw, he died. Now, you might have noticed that there are different animation cores that you can get here. Strength, Perception, Intelligence, and Speed. What do? Well, they upgrade your golems, and you can see that I've got a wood golem worker here with a speedy aspect. If I go ahead and put him down, you'll note that his feet are yellow. He still is too dumb for anything complicated, but if I drop some items on the ground, he should move around a little bit faster picking them up. So he's a much faster little guy. He zips around here a lot quicker than the basic golem. Runs much faster. So that's the speedy golem. Pretty neat. The brainy golem is a little bit more intelligent than a basic wood golem. If you open up his interface, you'll see that he has the ability to only pick up specific items or continue picking up everything. So if I tell him only to pick up torches, then he will not pick up the cobblestone that I throw on the ground. He will, however, pick up torches. Of course, if you don't tell him to pick up anything specific, he'll just grab it all. The observant golem has a longer radius that he can pick things up from. So remember before we determined that he can only pick up things from up to about 12 blocks away. Well, this guy has a much longer range. He can run further and pick up more items. So the observant golem has a bit of a further range, able to pick up items from a further distance away. And our final golem to check out here is the strong golem. This guy will be able to pick up larger stacks of items at a time. So if I throw an entire stack of cobblestone on the ground here, let's see how many he can pick up. Instead of just being able to carry 16, you'll note that he can carry now 32 items at a time. So strong golems can carry more than your basic golems. So that's what the different animation cores do. They upgrade your golem and make them a little bit better than the basic golem. It's your choice if you want to use just the basic golems or use some kind of upgrade. If you want your golems to travel further, use observant. If you want them to carry more, use strong, etc. And one more note about the basic mechanics of golems is that they will respect the inventory side that you right-click on. So if I right-click on this brainy golem on the bottom of my slot here, my furnace, and I tell this brainy golem to only pick up coal, that's what he'll do. He won't pick up anything besides coal, but he will pick up the coal itself, and since I clicked on the bottom of the furnace, he's going to go ahead and place it in the bottom of the furnace. And the final thing to note about your golems is that they are aware of what slot or side of the block that you place them on. So for example, if I place my golem on the side of this furnace, it's going to tell me it's not a valid inventory because you can't place things into the side of a furnace. Side of the furnace is meant for pulling items out. However, if I place him on the top of the furnace, he will place any items he picks up in the top of that furnace. So if I throw some cobble on the ground here, he should be able to go pick it up and find his way to the top of that furnace and place it in the top slot. Awesome. So now that we've seen basic wooden golems, we noticed that there were a bunch more, right? Well, let's check out what they do. Stone golems move things somewhere else. You can see in the description here, it's going to take items out of their assigned inventory. They empty the contents of the inventory they are assigned to and move it to another inventory marked with the proper block. Pretty cool. So let's go ahead and craft one and check that out. Now, with regards to the proper block, just get a regular workbench, a normal vanilla crafting table, take some wooden planks around a color of wool, and that'll get you some markers. And the markers are how you tell these golems where to go and where to place things. So let's check this out. I'm going to get myself just a regular old stone golem worker. Okay, I'm going to place it on this inventory right here. Good job, little guy. Now, he's going to take anything I place in this chest and empty the chest and place it somewhere in another inventory inventory marked by this marker. What I'm going to do is place down a white marker right behind this inventory. You can place it behind, below, wherever you want. Now, any items that go in here, for example, I'm going to put 31 cobblestone in. He's going to take 16 out at a time and empty this chest and place it in the chest with the white marker. If we open up the interface on the golem, you can see two things you can do. Number one, you can tell him which items you want him to move. So for example, let's go ahead and tell him that I only want him to move some dirt. Alright, I'm going to give him a piece of dirt and say that's your assigned item for emptying. When I place cobblestone in here, nothing's going to happen because he'll only move dirt. However, if I place dirt in here, he will go ahead and start emptying the chest of dirt. Pretty cool. Now the marker color is assigned right here. You can right now see that it's set to any color. So he's going to empty this chest and bring it to any color marker he can find nearby. However, if I tell him only to bring it to the orange markers, then when I place dirt in here, he's going to look around for an orange marker on the ground, and he's not going to find one. That's going to be a problem for him. So let's go ahead and give him an orange marker to place dirt into. I'm going to place it right over here behind this chest. And like I said, you can place it underneath or below or on top, wherever you want. So now he's only going to move items to the orange marker, and he won't put the dirt in the white marker. Pretty cool. So if we really wanted to have fun with this, we could put one golem on one side and another golem on the other side here and give them just some tasks to do. I'm going to tell this guy that he's only supposed to move cobblestone into the orange guy, and I'll put this guy over here and tell him that dirt can go into the white slot. Okay, so let's get our items and populate it. So you can see he's going to put dirt over there, and he's going to put cobblestone over there, and that's just fun to watch. All the other upgrades to these golems are available. You can get faster ones, brainy ones, observant ones, and stronger ones. Same thing to do. The only thing you might want to note is the brainy ones. The difference there is that they can you can choose 3 items to move instead of just 1. So giving them a brainy upgrade just makes them able to have different inventory slots here. There you go. So the opposite of the stone golem worker, move things somewhere else, is the clay golem worker, keeping an inventory supplied. These guys are pretty neat. They will keep an inventory supplied with a certain item and a certain number of items. So let's tell this guy to go ahead and fetch from the orange inventory a certain amount of cobblestone. Simply place him next to this guy. Now right now I'm going to make sure this chest is empty and make sure there's plenty of cobblestone available. I'm going to tell him to keep, let's say 14 cobblestone. Okay, what he's going to do is he's going to go over here, grab 14 cobblestone out of the chest and fill it up in here. Pretty cool. And he's just going to hang out and wait. Once there's a certain amount missing, he will go get the difference and refill it. He's pretty intelligent. He knows exactly how much to get. He will always get the right amount and keep this chest properly filled up. Pretty cool. That is, of course, assuming that there's enough cobblestone in here to pull out. And the next 2 types of golems are straw golems, which are useful for farming. They will automatically harvest plants, and if you give them the brainy function, they can replant the seeds that they collect as well. So you can see the smart versions instantly replant. And tallow golems are really nice and useful. They help with your brewing. So they're your brewing buddies, and they will work with your crucibles and a couple other neat things. So if you place a nifty little golem over here, the tallow golem, right on the side of this thing, and then you mark a water block nearby, it'll keep it filled. Let's check that out. So what I've done is created a nice little infinite water source here, placed a white marker near it so that the golem knew where to go, and I'm going to go ahead and put an empty bucket in his inventory and tell him he can go for any color. Once I give him that empty bucket, he'll go fill it up, refill your crucible for you, and then hold on to that empty bucket, so that if you ever throw items in there and decide to use it, he'll quickly refill it for you. He doesn't have to go fetch the water. So let's just do that. And he'll refill it instantly. Nice job, little buddy. You're very useful. So the next thing I want to teach you guys about is an important part of the mod, which is a further down the line tech tree item. It's not something you'll get first off, but it's something I think needs to be explained. It's part of basic flux research. what you'll find making in your Infusion Altar is the ability to make a flux filter. That is an item that is used then to make an Arcane Alembic. The Arcane Alembic is a pretty important tool. Once you get flux research, you're going to want to go ahead and start playing with this thing. All you have to do is take it and place it on the side of your crucible. So you can see I have one right in my inventory here. Just right click on the side of a crucible and it'll place that Arcane Alembic on the side. If you guys remember from the last episode, I showed you guys that when you're crafting something in your crucible, excess flux or excess aspects that weren't used in the creation get thrown out into the atmosphere and cause a big problem. So let's go ahead and grab our goggles here, and we'll see that the flux in this environment is probably at a high level. That's because we did some bad things and let some aspects get out into the environment. They weren't used when I created a recipe. What the Arcane Alembic does is it is able to grab those extra aspects and store them in this Alembic for use later. So instead of them getting released into the atmosphere, they'll go into the Alembic. Now the Alembic is only capable of holding one type of aspect at a time. So if you want to throw multiple items in here and only have some or all of it go into the atmosphere, don't put your Alembics around, but you can have more than one Alembic on the side. So if I grab myself just, let's say 3 more, you can have up to 4 all on the sides here. So let's just put 2 down for now. Pretty cool. Now, I'm also going to show you another nifty trick. Let's get ourselves some of these Vis shards here. I'm going to get the air shards, okay? What you can do if you want to purposely fill up your Alembics is just toss your shards in here, and note that this thing is currently storing 2 of each of these symbols. Now, if I were to right-click on the crucible, it's going to go ahead and try and make something using these symbols. Of course, there's really nothing that you can make. But if I shift right-click, it'll instantly dump all the symbols into the flux, either into the environment or into your Alembics. So let's go ahead and shift right-click this guy right now. Ta-da! Okay, note that my Golem refilled my crucible for me, and you can see some flux went into the atmosphere. That's because there were 4 symbols inside this crucible that didn't get used, but only 2 Alembics. If we check the Alembics, they have 2 of that crystal symbol and 2 of that wind symbol, but the other 2 symbols didn't get placed inside. Now, if I were to take my Arcane Alembics and place them on the other sides here, like this, 1, 2, and just move your Golem out of the way while you're doing this. Now if I throw my shard in there and shift right click, you'll note that no flux went into the environment. Note that there's no little electricity symbol on the bottom left there. And we can see that we now have 4 in these guys, and then the other 2 symbols went over here, 2 and 2. Pretty cool. Now, once you have 8 of a symbol inside one of your Alembics, you can bottle it up. So let's go ahead and toss a couple more in here and shift right click again to purposely waste it and just throw it all into the Alembics. Now we've got 8 of these symbols. Okay, we've got 6 of these guys because we didn't have them on earlier, but we've got 8 of these. What can we do with it? Well, we can craft ourselves some glass files, which is pretty simple. Basic crafting table, glass and clay gets you 8 glass files. Simply right click with your glass file on an Alembic and make sure it has 8 in there, and you'll drain the Alembic, so now there's nothing in there, and it'll go into that file. You can see you've now bottled up the Essentia Aura. So that symbol is now bottled up inside this thing. You can't collect it if it doesn't have 8. So I'm right-clicking here, nothing's happening. Right-click on this guy, and we get ourselves some bottled up Essentia Vitreous. Pretty cool. So we're able to store and bottle these extra aspects inside these files. Pretty neat. So it's a good way to collect extra aspects that get wasted in your crucible instead of letting them get out into the environment and affect the flux and have negative and bad things start happening to you. These guys are also very useful, and I'm going to show you that right now. So if you want, you can just toss your Essentia Vitreous right into your crucible and just use it like that. Ta-da! You'll see that 8 went in there. And I'm just going to shift right click, and you'll see it got drained back out. So we're able to store that one way. Another thing we can do is craft some warded jars, which is another item you're going to have to make in your Thaumcraft. So you'll have to get the research for that on yourself. But go ahead and just place your warded jar in the world, and you can go ahead and right click on it with your file of something. Ta-da! You'll see now that there's 8 of this aspect inside the warded jar, and the more of this aspect that you collect, the better. You obviously cannot store multiple aspects in one jar, but place another jar down, and you've got no problem. Pretty cool. Another option here is to use your tallow golems again to maintain the alembic. Simply right click on any one of the alembics and he'll keep an eye on all of them. Of course you need to give him some files. One option is just to hand them to him, or you can place them in a chest nearby. I'm going to set this guy to the orange color, and I'm going to go ahead and place some glass files in this chest. You'll see he'll quickly run over and grab them. Good job, little guy. He's now holding 16 glass files, and whenever an alembic reaches 8 of this magical aspect stuff inside, he'll go ahead and fill it up. So let's just go and drop one air shard in here, and that'll give us the ability to get the magic out of here, and this symbol here, the, well, can't see it because the guy's in there, but it's one of the speedy ones. Simply shift right click, and he'll empty it out, and he'll try and place it in a nearby jar, which is pretty cool. If he doesn't have the option to place it in a nearby jar, he'll place it instead in the inventory that he's marked as well. So instead of trying to place it in a nearby jar, he'll place the files right in here if he doesn't have a jar that can store it. So a nice way to have your golems maintain all these extra aspects for you. Keep in mind, of course, that you do need to mark your jars to make sure he knows where to place his aspects. Pretty awesome. So I'm going to go ahead and just get a little bit more of this magical stuff here. Let him go ahead and fill that up, and you'll see he'll make a couple trips if he needs to. And we've now got 24 magic inside this jar. So why am I placing these jars here on the ground near my inscription table, or my infusing table? Well, the infusing altar can use the aspects from these jars if they're nearby instead of the crucible. So let's go ahead and upgrade this wand again. I'm just going to get myself a few more of these Vis shards, just to make sure I have all of them. And we'll check this out. Just place, like I showed you earlier, how to upgrade your wand. Yellow, blue, red, and green right here. And you'll note that the 16 Procantio is already being fulfilled, even though I didn't drop anything in my crucible. And if you look over here, you'll see it's coming from the nearby jar. So once you get started bottling up your extra aspects, you can use those extra aspects in your infusion altar. It's a really nice way to charge up your infusions and do a bunch of cool things without having to waste items. So no longer will your aspects be wasted going into the atmosphere's flux, causing dangerous negative side effects. You can use your alembics to go ahead and further use the extra aspects and also just be a little bit more efficient. Pretty cool. Finally, I'd like to talk to you about silverwood trees. Silverwood trees are pretty cool. They existed in the previous version of Thaumcraft, and they are back along with the greatwood trees. I'm going to go ahead and harvest this guy up a little bit. Let's just use a chainsaw. Why not? We'll go ahead and chop this tree down and see what's going on right inside here. Oh, look, right inside the heart of the tree is one of these aura nodes. There's always going to be an aura node inside a greatwood tree, including the ones that you grow yourself. If you chop down all these leaves, of course not using a chainsaw, but just go ahead and break out the leaves. You will occasionally, it's pretty rare, but you should get at least 1 or 2 saplings per greatwood tree with all the leaves on there. And when you grow one, it'll create an aura node right there where it grows. Usually a small one. Smaller aura nodes can sometimes merge and grow together and combine, but just note that you'll always find an aura node inside one of these greatwood trees. And guys, that about wraps up most of it. I just want to show you a couple cool toys that you can play with. I'm not going to show you nearly all of them because I definitely don't have the time for that. And I want to leave some of this for you to discover and figure out on your own, but there's lots of cool toys and mysteries to discover, lots of neat wands and upgrades and other cool stuff. One of my favorite wands is the Wand of Excavation. Simply get it and hold right click, and you'll see that it can quickly mine for you. It's a nice way to mine at a distance, and it has a pretty decent range, as a matter of fact. It's really neat looking. One of the things to note about these wands is even though they have mystical abilities, by giving them cool abilities like this Wand of Excavation, which can mine for you, it loses the ability to recharge from the local aura. So once you use it, it's used up and it's broken and you have to make yourself another one. But that's okay, it's really pretty cool. And it can store a good amount of magic in it, and look at that, we're doing a nice job mining. Awesome. Found ourselves a nice little cave here. Maybe we got trapped in our cave, and one of my favorite items from the previous version is the portable hole. This guy did get a pretty nice upgrade. He now, instead of making a 1x2 round hole, he can make a 3x3. So simply right click here and you can see that it clears up and makes that nifty little 3x3 hole that you can get out of. pretty awesome. And it'll magically close itself when it's done. It's a really neat little effect. If you pay attention, it doesn't just instantly create the hole, but it does zip out and kind of start from the bottom and work its way up. So you can see that right there. And if I get out of here, you'll see it closes kind of the same way. Watch down here as it closes, it came right back up like that. Very quick, but very cool. The portable hole has a decent range, and it will charge itself out of the local aura. So you can see every time I use the portable hole, it takes a little bit of damage, but then it recharges, and the local aura loses some of its magical ability. Pretty cool though, huh? Yeah, definitely one of my favorites. Love the portable hole. Awesome. And another neat little item here is this guy. He's called the Hungry Chest. I like him. He's pretty cool. Simply drop items on top of the Hungry Chest, and he'll gobble them up. Pretty neat. Any items that fall on top of him will be eaten. He will not eat from the block in front of him or on the sides. It has to fall right on top. Nom 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 nom. Hungry, hungry chest. So, that's some of the cool items. Believe me, there are many, many more things to discover in Thaumcraft 3. There's a ton of awesome stuff that you can find. And guys, I think that about wraps up the Thaumcraft 3 Mod Spotlight Part 2. I showed you guys all the different aspects, the Infusion Altar here, the jars, the golems. Golems are definitely one of my favorites. You can use them for sorting systems and all kinds of automation, and showed you some of the nifty items that are available. I definitely didn't show you all the items. There's still a lot more for you guys to discover on your own. You're going to have to use the research table to find out all this stuff, but it's a lot of fun researching, and it's really not too hard to do. So this is Direwolf20 signing off on the Thaumcraft 3 Mod Spotlight Part 2. Hope you enjoyed checking it out, and definitely go download this mod. It's just so much fun and adds a lot of nifty magical functionality. And I don't think Azenor is even close to done. He's got a lot more things that he has planned to add. In fact, he kind of released this earlier than he intended. He wanted to get it out for you guys to start playing with. He does have a lot more plans, and they are soon to come. So hope you guys enjoyed this video, and take it easy.